Are we live?
We're live.
Yee! What's up, buddy?
Hey, good. How are you? What
Pretty
am I
good.
look? What am I looking at there? I see a poll.
Dude, I was just you know how when you're getting old
Yeah,
is when you're sore from hitting golf balls.
I see.
Oh my God. Gladstone's got me doing some things, man, and I was out there going after it yesterday and I just try to make some swings, man. It's pathetic. I'm
That's
sore.
funny. That's really funny.
I'm chasing this 130 miles an hour club head speed. So, we'll see if I can
Yeah,
get there.
nice.
Yeah, dude, how are you?
I'm good. Where's your face? I can't see you.
Oh, you can't see me. Okay, hold on a second.
I think you
What's
maybe
going
have
on
the
here?
camera backwards or something.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's my yard. How's that? Is that pretty good? Oh boy, Mayday. Let me switch this around here. I was gonna do
I thought
this.
I was gonna talk to a poll for a second. That was
Here
funny.
I am. Here I am trying to be all tech savvy with my tripod. And this is my training club right here,
Oh, I love it. Yeah, how's
dude.
that coming? I know you're refurbishing some of those or what?
Yeah, dude. It's so fun. It's kind of like working on old cars. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you get these things, and it's kind of like the flip game for me. I'm like, oh, can I find one for super cheap and polish it up and see if I
yeah.
can game it at the goat or whatever. But yeah, I've started getting back into regular clubs again just because I want to see if I can, get it out of my shadow.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
great.
How are you? Everything
I'm
good?
good. Hanging out at home.
Well, get out there, man. Now we were allowed to do things, so you should
Yeah.
probably start surfing because that's allowed.
I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'm afraid of the water.
Are you?
I don't know.
Dude, I got
I
out there
should
this
I should
morning,
get
man.
into it.
I got out there this morning and it's like swimming in sewage from all this red tide stuff.
Oh yeah. Wow.
But the waves were fun and felt amazing. So
That's awesome.
lucky and blessed, bro. Lucky and
Yeah.
blessed.
Any golf? You play any golf? Yeah.
I hit yesterday, and
Yeah.
like I said, dude, Gladstone has been, yeah, dude. He's got it up above 130 club head speed,
That's
and
fast.
it's really fast. And he
Yeah.
wasn't that fast a year ago,
Wow. It's
So I'm like,
impressive.
how do you do it, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't want to be getting blown by 50 yards every hole for a guy I used to keep up
I
with.
don't want either of you two to hit it by me, but I feel like you both will.
Well, no, but like yesterday after he said it's like legs, like a lot of legs, get your butt as strong and big as it can be, right?
Yeah.
A lot of lower back exercises, and then just swinging out of your ass, basically.
Yeah.
And I was on the monitor last night, and I was averaging around like 170 ball speed, but I
Nice.
couldn't get it above 173.
Yeah.
So
Well, if you're
you know,
just getting started, you're on your way.
yeah, man. So
That's
it's
good.
that's where the game's going now, right? You got to be able to get the speed because it's like I don't care how straight you hit it. If you're hitting four and somebody else hitting a wedge, man, that's not going to hold
That's
up over
a
4 days.
really, really hard thing to do. Yeah.
Totally.
You
How
better
much?
start.
How much do you emphasize that?
Speed?
Yeah.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I'm all about speed. That's a big part. You see my kids, they lash at it pretty hard. So, um, yeah, I want
But
everybody
coach
to bomb
doesn't.
it. It's way more fun to bomb it, and drivers should be one of your favorite clubs, if not your favorite club.
Yeah,
So, especially for
absolutely.
little kids, you know. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the old adage, right? Teach them as far as they can early, and then figure out how to straighten it out later.
yeah, that's my plan.
I'm still waiting to figure out how to straighten it out. So,
You've always been long, yeah.
relatively, yeah, pound
Yeah,
for pound, I wasn't. I thought I hit it pretty far until I went to U of A, and then I started playing a lot with Sabo. And dude, a lot of people don't know this, but his first year on tour, he competed in the Remax, and he hit a 390 in the Remax and got booted out. So he's like, yeah,
uh,
I should just stick to making millions on the tour. I'm like, yeah, probably a good idea.
yeah. Of course, for everybody else listening, talking about Rory Sabatini.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
unbelievable talent, man. Best hands I've ever seen. Like,
really.
oh my God, dude, it's just like his creativity and like, I remember my freshman year, I went over there and we're playing and he's like, watch, check here. Here's a high knuckleball. I'm like, what the hell is a high knuckleball? I've never tried it. What are we talking about? But he had it figured out before TrackMan or anything. He's like, yeah, if I can block it, if I can hit a big block, it takes all the spin off and it goes 380. And I'm like, oh, so he figured that out on his own before
Yeah,
all the numbers came out.
yeah.
Um, but he could just do anything he wanted to with the golf club, and still can. I mean, I had dinner with him when he was in town, and we were talking a lot. And he's having a great time, and he had a hell of a year last year. And
Yeah, you did good.
Dude, the two guys he talked about, and this was kind of telling to me, because I like to bet on golf, and I did pretty well recently, but like I bet on him a lot last year, and he made me a lot of money on the DraftKings stuff. But this year he was like he was stroking like Morikawa and Cameron Champ and these guys. I'm like, whoa, dude, I've never heard you stroke anybody.
Yeah.
So like you must be either getting ready for the senior tour, or just like, well, that's a different mentality, and it's like how important do you think it is for the players to have that there's nobody better than me mentality?
Well, yeah, I mean, every day, if you don't feel like you're the best, it's going to be tough to, play at the level that you think you are. Because I think you should be practicing confidently. So if all of a sudden you walk out on the tee and then you think you're great, and then you go, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's so much better. I don't think in your body you're going to feel the same.
Right.
I mean, I'm pretty in tune with how I feel about things, and I'd be pretty on the other side of it pretty quickly.
But that's the one thing, I don't know, all the great players I've ever seen, all they ever told you is how great they are. But then when they start going bad, you hear some other stuff come out. You're like, wait a second, is that directly related? I don't know. And how is that something you're born with, or is that something you can teach? I don't know.
Yeah.
Evenson was like that when he was a kid. You remember? He was the cockiest little guy. And
he was so cocky.
He's so cocky, and obviously it was terrible what happened to him with the accident, but I still love the kid. But it was like, dude, he could back it up. He could play. I
mean, he had so much game. I know we didn't get too much into it with him the other day when we talked, but like his game was so good.
It was.
And he came out, I remember as a freshman, or he was a freshman, I was like, he just did everything right. And he just looked like he had been playing golf for 30 years and been on the PGA Tour for 20 of it. Like,
right.
He went to, I think, freshman year when he went to, I think he won league. He won league his freshman year, or like, all the seniors were like, who's this guy?
Totally. And it was, and it wasn't like he was playing against a bunch of hacks, I mean, we had in my opinion, San Diego is the best golf town in the country. And the reason I say it is because I looked it up, during some of the downtime we've had, is we have more PGA Tour wins than any other city.
More, yeah.
by a lot.
By a lot, right? Yeah.
If you just take Phil and Billy Casper, that's pretty much,
Yeah.
Obviously Jack's got a lot.
Take Tiger out of the mix.
Yeah, and Tiger's out.
And he's SoCal guy though too.
It's SoCal, right? Like it's not that far away, and it's like, But we're blessed to have an amazing place to learn how to play golf with a lot of great teachers like yourself, man. It's
what do you think? So for over the years, what do you think's attributed to so much great play, PGA Tour, great play? Like our class, going over it with Evenson and talking to John Mallinger the other day, and now you. I mean, we're all roughly the same age.
Sure.
But we had so many great players.
Yeah. No, it's true, dude. And it's like
awesome.
And there's a lot of great players who wound up, not doing much because they might have gotten stuck in some weird stuff. Like you remember Luis Asamoah?
Yeah.
He won the junior world twice.
Yep.
That's amazing. And it's like, he got into some bad stuff, and unfortunately, he couldn't ever try to play. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think I attribute it just to, obviously we have great weather. Our golf courses aren't that great in comparison to, like, LA's got way better tracks than we got.
Yep.
And it's, but I don't know. If you think about it, like, we had some amazing teachers if you go way back to, like, I heard Mike Riley, Chris Riley's dad.
Yep.
His first 2 golf lessons were from Paul Runyon and Olin Dutra, right? So they both were major winners.
Yeah.
And they were teaching in Mission Valley.
Yeah.
And La Jolla. So it's like, and I think, okay, Paul Runyon then taught Phil Rogers and Chuck Courtney and Jack Renner and Mickey Wright and Gene Littler. And it's like, all of a sudden you're talking about nothing but the greatest golfers, to play the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's
pretty awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but you can also get lost in the fray, right? Where, like, if say somebody's grown up in, Montana or something, and they're the best in the world there, and all of a sudden they come to San Diego, they might be the 40th best player.
Right.
So, but I think that's healthy. I think that's the best thing you can do to get better is play against the best and learn. Like, and that was the other thing, my dad, I just took for granted growing up against some of the legends, right? Like I would sit there and watch Trevino hit golf balls for hours when I was a kid. And I'll never forget this. When I was 10, we went out to the desert and they were doing an infomercial. And it was John Cook and Freddie Couples, right?
Yeah.
And my dad. So I got to spend 3 days with those guys. And I just thought that's what you're supposed to do.
That's
I'm like, that's golf.
How old were you?
I was 10.
You were 10. And how long would you already playing golf at that point?
Yeah, so I started competing when I was 9, and then when I was 10, there was I still have the picture, man. I wish I had it with me here, but it was Stadler, myself, Luis Asamat, Mike Perez, and a kid named Kevin Kabilas. That was the top 6, and actually Paul Spangler. It was
Nice.
those are the top 6 point winners. We were 10 years old, and Phil Mickelson was the one presenting, and he was at ASU at the time. So it's like, that's what we were up against.
Yeah. That's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, pretty incredible. But I'll never forget that weekend because Freddie and John, they were so nice to me, and obviously, and I'm going out and playing some holes with them and watching them, and then also got to meet Mac O'Grady that trip, and my dad started working with Mac at that point.
Yeah.
And that's a guy who really I admire because he didn't, his perseverance. He missed Q school 14 times before he got through. Did you know that?
I didn't know he missed 14 times. I know I've done it
times.
That's crazy.
14 times, and then he gets through because he had completely retooled his golf game by himself, and kind of figured it out. And I think he was like the original tour teacher. You know what I mean? Where all these guys all of a sudden, Faldo and Jody Mudd, and these guys are going to Mac because Mac's got the secret sauce, right?
Yep.
And
I've seen some cool videos from that era.
And just insane, just a phenomenal athlete too. He had 4% body fat. He would do push-ups on his tippy fingers like this all day long. And the one thing that I'll never forget this. He would stand there and he'd take an 8-iron, right? And he'd go, and he was all about. He's like, let me show you how important rotation is, right? Mm-hmm. And he'd go 100, 125, 150. He'd go out to 225 with an 8-iron, just spinning faster.
Wow, that's awesome.
And you're like, phew, how good is this guy? And then what he'd do? He'd turn around and do it left-handed.
That was impressive.
You're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
When he was about 48 or 49, we were down at Coronado, and he comes out and he played with Smock and a couple of guys, and in the morning he goes out right-handed and shoots 66, and he played in the afternoon and shot 65 lefty.
Oh my gosh. That's insane. That's insane. Can you do that?
I mean, that's just no one else has ever even thought about doing that.
Yeah. He's got a unique brain for sure.
Yeah, what does that do for you?
Yeah,
but
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. What are you seeing as far as trends that are you're implementing in your teaching?
Trends? I mean, I'm more old school field player, so I'm not necessarily trying to do anything different than I have been doing. I mean, my students are long, short games are good, and they can putt. So building confidence through all those ways and getting them to score lower is the majority of my focus. Technical side, I don't know if there's anything specific that I'm necessarily trying to do.
Got it.
What about
you? I've been on a search my whole life, obviously. I think if you're a golfer and you weren't born an absolute superhero, you're always searching. Right. I don't care how good you are. You count out, how do I get better? How do I hit it further, straighter, more control? So, I tried to do it through volume, and I copied. The last time I did Q school, I went to my dad when he was still alive. I said, "Hey, Dad, what should I do? I want to get through this year. I'll do anything. I don't care. What does that look like?" And he goes, "You should do Trevino's practice routine. How we used to get ready for the tour because they used to have a long off season, right?" I said, "Well, what was that?" And he goes, "Well, you get to the course at 7, right? You hit balls till 11, all right? Then you take a little break, get a bite to eat. You go chip and putt for an hour, okay? Then you go play 9 holes, and then you hit balls till dark." So I was hitting on average about 700 to 1,000 golf balls a day, just depending on how rapid fire I was.
Yeah.
And when you do that, and I did that for about 2 months before the school, And to tell you how good that works, my first stage was out at the Norman course in Palm Springs.
Yep.
I averaged 33 putts a round, and I made it easy.
Wow.
So I think I missed 3 greens for the week.
Ball striking on fire. That's awesome.
If you practice that much, you can't, I don't
Yeah.
care how weird your move is, right? Like, it's going to work.
Yeah. You know where it's going.
You know where it's going. You might,
Yeah.
and that's one thing I think is undervalued now. And I get it, dude. We got all this technology, and it takes the spin off and makes it go straighter, which is cool.
Right.
But I think people undervalue knowing where it's not going to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
when you're choking to death and you're like, oh God, I got to get this, and that year, I think I was 4 clear going to the 18th hole, which there's desert left, desert right, and there's OB left, right?
Yep.
And I looked at my caddy and I said, I'm going to aim it right down the out of bounds, and it's not going left,
Yep.
and just kind of neck cut it down there, and
Yep.
you make your par, and that's that. But yeah, it's good. It's nice to hear you stick with what works, and
But that's how you got to play. Like what you just said there on the 18th hole. Like there's a lot of guys or players nowadays that I think would just hit their normal shot and not think anything of the fact that they should be taking it down the right and knowing what their miss is and being able to let it rip, or hit that like go-to heel cut down the right, low, skanky, if you want to call it that, type of shot. That's the shot that I developed when I played. And it gets you out of trouble, and it keeps it in play, and goes almost as far, and you can trust it. Versus maybe just trying to find numbers all the time and making sure they're optimal and doing stuff like that. Not necessarily going to get the job done.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. And I don't know this is something that my dad used to tell me all the time. He's like, just practice your driver and chip and putt. Forget about the rest, right?
Right.
Yeah, he's like, just chip and putt as much as you can. Yeah. He goes, I know it's more fun to hit balls, but you can. He goes, I've never heard anybody tell me they're too good at putting or chipping, right? And I go, you got a good point. And but that's something that as much as you practice it, then there's also the technique in it, right? Where there's so many different ways that people have a nuance, right? You watch Jason Day hit a pitch shot, and he is statistically the best on tour, right? Versus you watch Phil do it, and it's totally different.
Completely different, yeah.
So what do you teach? Or is it just like, let me see you do it, and let's tweak it a little bit?
Yeah, it's more based on what they already do and how successful and repeatable that is, and then I'll adjust it from there. Because I think everybody sees it a certain way. I think, wrist conditions and grip for short game make a big difference in how you either release the club or use your wrist at all, and that sort of thing, and how you use the bounce. So putting all that together and just becoming functional. And then if you go practice enough, just like you said, you're going to be pretty darn good at your own system.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I played a lot and I'm going to have Grant on here, Strobel, in a few days.
Nice.
Like, cool. I played so many rounds with Grant, and Grant, I mean, he'll hit most greens. If he doesn't, he hits one little chip shot that he loves, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I don't see him do a lot of other stuff, but he'll shoot in the 60s almost every time, and it just looks like a machine. And what are you going to do? You're going to go give him 14 different pitch shots to work on? He's not going to do it. It's just... Dude,
and that's, you just said a lot of good stuff there, because Grant drives it so good. Like, I've played with him so many times where I'm like, bro, do you ever miss a fairway?
Yeah.
Like, I'll be putting out 3-iron, and he's like, why are you hitting a 3-iron? I'm like, because the fairway is 8 yards wide with the driver.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
So, and that's really interesting, because for me, I remember Trevino said, he goes, you can't hit every shot you need to hit with the same grip.
Yeah.
He goes, you got to change your grip, and so, like, I'll hit most of my pitch shots interlock with a weakened left hand. My full swing is this, right?
Yeah.
And then if I want to run one, I'll go 10 fingers.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, what, Grant would never do that, because he's like, I got this shot, I know what it does, and I'm going to play it.
There he is. Only need one shot.
So, yeah, only need one shot. Strobel, there he is, baby.
Yep.
And that's probably why you kick my butt more often than not. So I'm over there trying to, paint a Rembrandt, and you're just going, pop, pop, thanks for the part.
Oh, he's already done by the time you're thinking.
So 100%. And that's the other thing too, pace of play, right? I mean, I see some kids where I'm like, dude, hit the ball.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What are you thinking about? Well, that's how, I mean, that's how I teach too. It's like, you know, that's
Thanks, BK.
some thoughts I have on, you know, certain systems for how you read greens and the amount of numbers and stuff that get into your brain when you play around a golf. I want to be playing. I want to be like, when I've ever been in the zone and I've shot like a really good round, I'm not thinking about anything. It's like the club
Yeah.
selection. It's 3/4 8-iron. It's full 9-iron. It's never even like more than a 2-second thought. But when I'm playing bad, it's like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 8 or 9. I don't know if it's this or that. And it's like just the brain alone is like going sideways, and you can't commit to a shot. And it's so weird. You got to get like for Grant's system, like Grant, you know, when he's playing a lot, he doesn't need to think. He just goes and plays. When he hits his little draw, he's money. If he tries to draw and it leak fades, he doesn't play as well. But that's it. Like I've played so many rounds with it. I know I'm going to get beat within the first 5 holes based on how he starts to hit it.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing, right? Like, where do you go? Where do you draw the line and say, okay, this is my game. I'm going to play it, and I'm just going to own it. I'm not going to try to change it to improve. Dude, I got to tell you a story. Jack Renner, okay?
Yep.
For those who don't know Jack Renner, I think won 4 times on the PGA Tour. Okay, he's famous for getting held out by a Sawayoki at the 72nd hole of the Hawaiian Open. I think it was 83, but he came back to win the golf tournament the next year. But he started teaching at Encinitas Ranch, and I was teaching up there. And I had just done the Monday for Torrey out at Bear Creek, and I shot 1 million, you know. And I'm up there that day. I'm hitting balls, getting ready for the one in LA at Hacienda, right?
Yep.
Phenomenal golf course. And I said, hey Jack, would you mind watching me hit a couple of shots? Just curious what you think. And he's watching me, and he goes, what are you doing? What are you trying to do? And I'm like, I'm trying to hit just little draws, and you're just playing pretty straight. And he goes, is that your natural shot? I go, no. I hit, fade all day long. And he looked at me, he goes, you're the stupidest son of a bitch I ever met. And he walked away.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yep.
And I'm like, what did I just do? Why, and I chased him, and I said, Jack, I didn't mean to offend you. What's going on? He goes, Lee, when I was on tour, he goes, I was ranked number 11 in the world. He goes, I just came out with the world golf ranking. And this is what he said. He goes, a very famous instructor from a very famous instructing family told me I needed to hit a draw because I needed to get more distance. He goes, and then I was off tour in 3 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, man, And I took that advice. I went up, the next day, and I just played my cut, and I shot even par at Hacienda, and I think I was like 3rd or 4th or whatever. But it was like, there's something to that, to owning your game and not trying to reinvent it, which I don't know, that might have been my downfall. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if it's natural, the more natural it is, the more repeatable it is, right? So the more you're trying to fight it, the more it's not going to hold up under pressure. It's also, you're spending your time working on it, which that almost ties into the brain, because the brain, you think you need to be working on something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're really good, you think you're trying to get better, but really maybe your plan is really good,
Yeah.
Maybe you need to make 3 extra putts a day, or maybe you need to hit a little bit closer, but you don't really need to change. Maybe you need to change your aim a little bit. It's like something small like that. I know I did have dinner with Kelly Keeney one time, and she told me that her game went the other direction. So she grew up always hitting a draw.
Yeah.
She knew that she could get on an airplane, fly to a tournament. Her short irons, and I don't exactly remember the system, but like pitching wedge through like 8-iron or whatever would draw like, say, 4 yards, 5 yards.
Sure.
The next 3 clubs would draw like 9 yards, and then the woods and stuff would draw like 13 yards, something like that. Whatever. It was just an incremental, never faded it, just drew it. And she won what she won. She won the British women's, she won the US women's.
She went
like she was the best in the world. It's #1 amateur in the world. And I remember hearing that story, and like she said she went the other direction when she learned how to fade it. She had more options, but it wasn't as reliable, so she could hit a fade when she wanted to, but she probably had double crosses and other stuff going on that really didn't let her just play.
I think what got me, dude. I'll be honest with you. Like I was grinding pretty good, and I missed this. I got through first, I missed second stage, right?
That
year,
yeah.
That was 06, I think. Or no, I did that in I forget. But the one that got me, I was out. Aragon had his card in 06, and I was caddying for him. And, that was the first week I caddied for Sabo in 2000 at the Pebble, but just briefly because his caddy showed up. But anyway, this was my first week of really, and I'm trying to play. I was out there playing like the Waterloo Open, met him out there. And he played a practice round with DJ Trahan, Rudy Amata, and Charlie Hoffman, right?
Nice.
And dude, I watched Charlie shoot 63 in the practice round and not make anything. Like he had 9 tap-ins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was that. And I look at Alex, I was like, bro, I'm like, you can beat Rudy and DJ. I'm like, you never thought about playing golf like that guy, neither have I. I'm like, what is that? And he goes, yeah, that's what these guys are doing. And at that point, I was like, dude, I gotta figure that out. Because he's literally hitting it 320 with a fall left draw all day long. And I'm like, dude, I've never done that in my life, you know, and I can't roll out of bed and shoot 63 and not putt well. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So there's that, you know, are you just a superhero? Because Charlie was pretty much a superhero, you know, like
I mean,
he was.
For us growing up, he was a superhero. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and same with Pat. Pat was just, you know,
superhero.
Right. And it's like, there was no way those guys weren't going to be multi-millionaires on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
You know, barring injuries. So it's like, where do you draw the line? What do you tell a kid who is like, you know, struggling, trying to get better? You know, what do you do versus and that's the ultimate puzzle, man, you know?
Yeah.
And you've got some really talented kids. Who do you think is like a no-brainer for the tour that's in your stable? Anybody?
I have several.
Nice.
I don't know if I should name names, but
okay.
There's a few that I guarantee will be out there. I mean, obviously they got to get it done. That's the hard part, is getting it done.
Sure.
The talent level that I see and the ability to execute shots is pretty awesome. So yeah, I think we're going to see in the next year or so here with a couple of them.
Dude, it's phenomenal. I joined John Ray Leary's live yesterday and watched a little bit of that.
Nice.
You remember how good he was?
Yeah, I'm gonna have him on next week.
Are you, dude? So Johnny, and that's my question to him. I obviously haven't seen him in a while, but it was good to reconnect a little. But I'm like, dude, what happened to him? I mean, he Monday and rib. He was playing like really good. Did he get hurt or like what happened?
I don't know. That's why I'm an interview.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't
Check.
I don't know. I know. I remember hearing the name, and obviously was big time when we were kids. You know, and late in college. I mean, there's so many big names that made it, and some that didn't make it, and some that you're surprised that, like, how could that guy not have made it? You know, I mean, I'm sure you could come up with several names.
Oh my God! You know, so let me ask you this: who's the guy you saw? You go, I'll give him 3 aside, but he won on tour. I got 2 guys who like blew my mind.
That you'll give 3 aside, but
when I first saw them or played with them, I'm like, these guys are a joke. Like, why are they even trying this? And they literally are winners on the PGA Tour or major winners.
Oh, let me think about that one for a minute. Who do you got?
The first one was Graham McDowell.
Okay.
I played with him at a Monday qualifier at El Camino. It was like 05, 06-ish.
Yeah.
And Kearney comes up to me. And he's like, bro, you're playing Graham McDowell. I'm like, who the hell is Graham McDowell? He's like, he's on the Walker Cup. He just turned pro. He's like, you know, he's amazing. I'm like, I'm gonna kick his ass, right? I'm like, I just had a good mindset.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that day because I made 6 birdies, 6 pars, and 6 bogeys and shot even par. But I beat him by 5. He shot 77 and cried all the way around the golf course.
Oh wow.
I'm like, this guy's terrible. What are you talking about, dude? You know, and he bitched about everything. So it was hard to like the guy. I'm like, this guy, you know, what was his problem? Yeah, you know, but there's another question though. Are good players, nothing's ever their fault. I noticed that's a big tribute, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they'll blame other than themselves. You know, just
it's
like
never their fault.
Jack Nicklaus, that's how, you know, you always tap down a putting spike mark or something every time he missed a putt. Yeah,
true. So. Yeah, that's a good point. The other guy who comes to mind was Spencer Levine. Dude, Spence, I mean, I played with him in the Long Beach Open one year. And, you know, he's putting down like a pack and a half the whole way around. And like, I'm hitting it 50 by him, you know, and I'm like, he's just skanky, making putts. And all of a sudden we added up and I'm like, I think I shot like 70. I'm like, what did you shoot, about 75? The other shot 67, bro. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like, wow, we did. You know, it's just like this game, man. It's just driving me crazy.
Like the score. It's but that's how like I viewed you. I don't know if I've told you the story. Maybe I did on the last time we talked, but I think I played with you in a San Diego Junior Golf event when I was like 16, and I had only been playing golf for like maybe a year at that point.
Yeah.
And I remember how nervous I was because I was you, I think it was Aragon and somebody else in our group. I don't know why I was in your guys' pairing, first of all. I must have got moved for some reason. I don't know. But I was in your guys' group, and I was so nervous. And I hit some really good shots, and that was the day that I realized, like, I could hang with you guys if I worked hard enough. Like,
Yeah.
but your swing, I remember watching you swing. I was like, holy cow, that's natural and powerful. And, like, I've always been a swing kind of nerd, like looking at people's swings and just watching the function of them and how smooth and repeatable it is and where the flight goes and stuff like that. But I watched you and I was like, and I remember you used to kind of hit a duck hook sometimes, if I remember right, occasionally.
Yeah, it would creep in. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's the shot every, good player battles.
Yeah. But you were like, I was like, oh my God, this guy is so good. How am I gonna get to this level? Then I remember that day.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it was Aragon and I playing together, neither one of us had a chance to do anything because we would just argue the whole day.
He's a funny guy.
Dude, I mean, and my hat's off to Alex because I've never seen anybody work that hard.
Yeah.
He's nuts. I mean, he's my best friend. I love him like a brother. And, but dude, for 1 year, he hit a pitching wedge.
Really?
He didn't do anything for a year. He'd already been on tour.
Wedge.
He'd been on tour. He had some web status, and I'm like, oh, cool. What's going on this year? He goes, bro, I got to figure out how to hit a golf ball. I'm like, so what are you going to do? He's like, well, I'm going to hit this pitching wedge until I can't miss it. And he literally dude, it was like a skate park. It was like a half pipe on his wedge.
Wow.
And here's a guy, dude, he went to Stanford. I mean, he's crazy smart.
You guys were on the same high school team, right?
Yeah. We had some sticks, man. Torrey Pines. It's weird that Torrey Pines keeps having these good teams, It's an anomaly to me. But, Pat was on that team when I was a freshman. Then we had, if you remember, Greg Padilla.
Yep.
Who was he went to ASU. Now he managed.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Unbelievable, yeah. And now he manages a hedge fund and probably made more money than, everybody.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget my senior year, we had 6 seniors on the team and we all went to D1 schools. So that was pretty strong, I thought.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah. Well, you were at Rancho Bernardo, right?
Yeah.
And so Becker was the better player there? Or no, you had Christensen, right?
We had Christensen. So I was a sophomore when I came in. Christensen was a senior. So, I got to hit balls with him and work with him a little bit. He was super helpful, too. Showed me some putting stuff that helped me. He hit the ball unbelievable.
He's a beast. He's so big.
So far. But we had Becker, too, and then Evenson came in, and Rifus was playing good at the team, too. So, we definitely had a good team. Contended my junior and senior year. We did pretty good.
Yeah, you guys got a lot better. It always, it's like I see kids now, and it's like everybody is. I look at them like, dude, you guys all have perfect golf swings. Like there's so much, out there for them. I'm just like, what? Like, it's phenomenal, but yet I see him not scoring. Right?
I was going to say, why don't they shoot 65 every day like we figured out how to do?
Right. And, the one kid who really, I really felt lucky. I learned more from him than he learned from me for sure was Bojan, right?
Yeah.
And he was, he was the one kid I was like, bro, as long as you don't get hurt, you're going to be on tour. Yeah. And it wasn't because he was some magical, he doesn't hit a 350 or anything like that. But, dude, he's hit every range ball that Lacosta has 75 times.
Yeah. He's a ball pounder, yep.
He's a ball pounder. And it's like, and him and his sister, I was teaching both of them, they had this amazing, I've never seen anybody else do this, and I was curious for your thoughts on this, where they wouldn't play golf. They would practice all day, and then they would play tournaments. So realistic, don't get me wrong, I think every now and then they would go on the golf course, but 90% of their playing was in tournaments.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing for them is that they were playing every weekend. So it wasn't
it
wasn't like they were so their practice rounds were really tournament rounds.
Exactly.
So to me, they played so many events that it almost balanced itself out. Not the system I would do because I think you get a lot of the kinks out. But obviously, if you hit a lot of balls, you're only going to see those shots anyway. So there's that too. But I would say they were having 8 tournament rounds a month.
easily.
So
Every week, like you're saying, every
yeah,
weekend.
every weekend for years.
But do you think that there's value in that being the norm? When you play golf, it's competitive. It's not out with your screwing around or I don't know. I
Um,
don't know. I'm on the fence with it. It
there's
obviously
such a
works well.
Yeah, there's such a balance there. I think there's so much work that needs to be done on the golf course in terms of your practice to get to that level. Obviously, I mean, and there's an anomaly with everything, right? There's outliers with everybody's systems.
Sure,
Some
sure.
work, some don't. I mean, I think one of the things I said the other day is like you just have to really have a good understanding of the game and what's really going on and how to really evaluate where you're at and be able to make things better that way. And so, I mean, for them, obviously, they're superstars and it works for them. They practice hard all day and go out and play on the weekends. And I don't know, there's got to be something. I know they're at La Costa playing though in the afternoon sometimes. So
Now I think, yeah, and it's
maybe it's changed.
Yeah, they were ahead of the curve with this whole mask thing too.
Yeah,
They were doing that a couple of years ago. Oh, buddy. What do you think of what do you think about the schedule this year for the tour?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We got to get back to some golf. We got to get something to watch, something to root for.
Dude,
I think it's so doable with what they've come up with. Obviously, the schedule's going to be busy and it's going to be, back to back to back. But I mean, that's going to be good. We've all been sitting around for 2 months now. I don't know how you're
what's up, Damon?
but I'm ready.
Yeah, dude. I think I might have mentioned this to you. I was on the gambling heater of a lifetime with the golf. I had three winners in a row.
That's impressive.
I know. That's the thing.
Nobody does that.
No, dude, in golf.
Yeah.
And you can ask Aragon. I called him. The last one I hit was Terrell Hatton. I called him on Monday. He's like, dude, who do you like? I'm like, I mean, Terrell Hatton all day. And he goes, what are you talking about?
Yeah, who's picking him?
He was 45 to 1. And I bet $25. I did all right. But the fact was like, dude, he had 5 top 10s in a row going into that week, and he'd finished 4th at Bay Hill the year before. And I was like,
But that's a good skill, right? Like you're forecasting, or you're watching trends, and you're watching what someone's doing and whether or not they're going to peak or not. That's what every good golf coach needs to be able to do to help their players too, is be able to see what they need leading up to some major big success.
Yeah, but and this is an interesting point, and I think that people don't understand that the best tour player in the world has X amount of wins in them, right? Yeah. And so if they win in, let's say, on the West Coast, right? Let's say John Rahm wins Torrey. John Rahm's the kind of guy who could win 4 or 5 times a year, right? Yeah. There's maybe 3 or 4 of those guys in the world, right? So the odds are if that dude wins in that year, anytime, he's not going to win again for a while.
Right. Good point.
Odds are, right? Yeah. So I also hit Adam Scott at Riv, right? Because I was like, Adam Scott loves this place. He hasn't won in a long time. Oh, he won the Australian.
That's a good pick. I don't know. He's been playing well though. You're right. Yeah,
he's been playing well. But weighting the stats, this is what I think people, if they want to take away anything, is you have to weight stats, right? Yeah. If the guy isn't putting, and that's the other piece of this is putting services, right? Some guys are great putters on Poe. Some guys are great putters on Bermuda. Very few are great putters on both. Right? Like you can literally look at Riviera and go, Tiger Woods doesn't even matter if he's playing. He's got no chance. Yeah. Right? The guy's never played good there.
Right.
It's his backyard. Ever. Right? Yep. Place that same dude at Bay Hill and like he's probably gonna win.
Right.
You know. Yeah. So that the putting stats, scrambling stats, people way overweight driving. Big time.
Yeah.
Driving accuracy doesn't really matter, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain extent, you got to keep it in play enough, but you got to be long. You kind of got to know your miss because there's, I'm playing Riviera though. You can't hit in those trees all day.
No, but true. But like I guess you're comparing against the field, right? So anybody on the PGA Tour knows how to drive a golf ball. Yeah. Period. Right. Yeah. But you don't. My point is that you don't have to be Chez Reavie or Jim Furyk. That's not a big advantage to be, in every fairway on a course like Riv, because if you can't hit it far at Riv, you really have no chance. Yeah. So it's waiting.
You play a lot with Chez?
No, he's a little younger than me. I heard a really funny story though. Do you remember Blakely Johnson?
No.
He was a little younger than us, really good player. Wound up playing at Santa Barbara, but he played with Ches in at the Junior World at Torrey, and Ches tried to get him DQ because he was dipping.
Jeez. Oh, jeez.
And I was, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, Ches probably doing the right thing, but I don't know.
Yeah. I played with Ches at the Southwestern Amateur one year. I didn't know at the time he would have made it.
Right, he doesn't look like much.
Yeah, but he's had an unbelievable career too. He's been out there forever. Yep.
I feel the worst for is Stadler. I mean, I can't believe what happened to him. You know, because he won the Phoenix Open, right?
Yep.
First win, awesome. You're on your way. Gets hurt, you know, for a while, and now is still on his medical right now.
Wow.
But your medical status is so far down. You're basically 126 on the money list versus having the win status where he would have played in the Masters, the USO. Like he had the whole year on the win status and probably would have, you know, been on his way. And now it's like he's trying to just, you know, get a card. It's
how many events is he getting in?
Well, you get the full schedule, right? But it's like I don't know. Pat was talking about the other day where like there's all these weird scenarios where if you play 5 events in a row, then you have to play the whole season. But if you play this many, then you can use it next year. It's really crazy, dude. That whole reshuffle and that, dude. What's going to happen to all the guys, you know, who got their card off the web?
Well, they said that they're not doing
no Q school, right?
Corn Ferry, yeah. That's tough.
Do you think that was good to get rid of that? Like be able, I thought it was the coolest thing to be able to go from obscurity to on the PGA Tour.
I like the excitement of that, but I think it really is a better system now. I mean, the PGA Tour is only getting stronger.
Yeah,
there's so many more great players, so it's just different. It's just like with anything. It's just like with the USGA or the US Open qualifier.
Hi,
right?
Ethan.
they start with it's not. Or any of them, U.S. Junior, you know, all of a sudden they get 8,000 players versus 4,000 trying to qualify. You just have to have tougher and tougher systems. So it doesn't really make sense to have a guy play. I mean, still 4-8, still 14 rounds of golf to get through Q school to get to the PGA Tour. But I mean, it makes sense now just to get to the Corn Ferry.
Yeah.
And who knows, down the road, it might even just be the other tours. You just qualify for the other ones, and then you qualify for Corn Ferry, and then you qualify.
Yeah.
Because
I think
there's only 125 spots. That's not that many.
I think it's led to guys who people have never heard of getting wins, like immediately, right? Because like, you know, people are like, who's Joel Damon, you know, or who is JT Poston, right? Well, guess what? Or dude, one guy is, I mean, Sanjay M, like, he won 3 times, no problem out there at 19.
Yeah. Have you seen him play?
I've just watched video. Vranish was caddying for him. You know Brian Vranish? Yeah. So Vranish was caddying for him on the web and then was with him for most of last year. And Brian's like, dude, I can't do 35 weeks a year, bro. Like, you need to take some weeks off. And they're like, not a chance.
Yeah.
You know, so I think Brian's now with Siwoo.
Oh, really?
Over. Yeah.
Nice.
But but there's a kid who, you know, you win multiple times on the web, you're gonna make some noise on the PGA Tour, no question. Yeah. You know, so I think you're right. It's a good proving ground. But like you're saying, I do miss the American dream of like, hey, you know, Aragon, dude. Aragon shot 65 the final day of Q school to get his card in 06. He had no status going into that. Nothing, you know.
I remember that. Yeah, that was impressive.
Dude, the next lowest score was 70 that day.
Really, that day? Holy cow.
Yeah.
And what course was that? That was at the Norman?
No, it was in Palm Springs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, whatever that stadium, I think.
Yeah.
So,
either way, those are some hard courses out there.
Whew. Brutal, dude. Brutal. Well, buddy, I appreciate your time, man. This has been awesome.
Thanks for coming on here.
Great wrapping out, dude. Yeah, you got it.
For 5 days on here about golf stories.
I know. Unfortunately, I gotta feed the kids and get back to work. So,
thanks for doing it.
Yeah, bro. Let's do it again, dude. And keep kicking ass, bro. I'm really always impressed with what you're doing. Oh, one last question I had.
Yeah.
What is going on with Presidio Hills?
I have no idea.
No idea.
What do you know? What's going on?
I know that last time I saw, like, they had all these plans approved, they had all this money raised for the place, and then, like, nothing happened because the city, like, turned it down or something. But
I was on a committee for a while looking at some of the the options that they had, but nobody could come to an agreement or make it work.
So it's because of the city?
City, just funding. I mean, there's so
Okay.
many issues, unfortunately, there. You know, there's irrigation issues and all kinds of stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know enough about that kind of stuff, but you know, I wish somebody could bring that back to life because that's such a San Diego. I mean, history of golf is there. You know,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
fun.
but
We used to play every Friday. I had a skins game there with my
did you
buddies.
really?
I used to live down the street. Yeah, when I was just out of college, I lived in Bay Park, so we would have 20 guys come over and play there and just flipping wedges around, and it was so much fun. And I
So
like great
rad.
players. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
guys at Stadium would play. It wasn't like, I mean, it could have been a Golden State Tour event. It was so good.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to save that place. And the other one that gets me is Carlton. I don't know if that's going to go away with this whole redesign of the homes. You know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, you need a golf course for your program. Presidio would be ideal.
That'd be kind of cool.
You know, build like a center to hit indoors, a TrackMan and that, and then just have the rest be a 6 short game. Not even the design it is now. Just make it, you know, even
Yeah.
9 holes, 9 longer holes or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd
Yeah, it would
sick.
be. I think it's hard because the land there is so valuable.
It's so
So
valuable.
I think the issue they're having probably too is that it's just like you're not going to make any money out of having a golf course there.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's just so cool to be there. But if it was, you know, something put on by the city that helped, that would be pretty special.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. All right, brother.
All
I'm
right.
gonna jam.
Cool.
Love you,
Yeah.
man.
That's
Be
great.
good. Yeah, we'll do it
Talk
again
soon.
soon. Okay,
Okay.
bro.
Take care, bud.